Alright, so today I'm here with LS Mark, and I thought it'd be kind of fun for us to kind of go through all the 3D Sonic games, put together a tier list, and see which ones we like the best and which ones we like the worst. Now, we're going to be kind of going in release date order, but some of it's going to be a little bit off. Not that it matters that much. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so yeah, just to kick things off, we have Sonic 3D Blast. Now, there is, of course, a few different versions of the game. There is the Saturn version, the PC one. I guess like we could kind of combine them all together. They're all really, really similar. For me, this is a super, super nostalgic Sonic game. I kind of love it, even though I know it's not that great. And I know it's not really a fast Sonic game. It's not the best controlling one, but I have a lot of nostalgic bias towards it. So if I were to put it anywhere, I would maybe put it like B at the highest, but I know it probably deserves more of a C tier.
I was gonna say, yeah. I'm curious that you're starting with this one because you said release order, so it's weird that it went straight to 3D Blast. But I've never played the Saturn one. I hear it's like marginally better. But yeah, I grew up playing the Genesis version a lot in what was it called? That like PS3, Xbox 360. Mega Drive collection that Sega had put out, and I played all the time on that. I probably would defend this game more than the average person would, even if, like you said, I can acknowledge that it isn't very good. I'd like to also shout out the director for the game, John Burton. I'm sure you've seen him, his director's cut edition where he made a mod for the original that fixed like a bunch of issues that it had.
Yeah, I've played it. It's really, really good.
Yeah. But the game on its own, as it released, I think a C tier is more than fair. It's very tedious, especially in the later levels. I think this is one of those games where I've played the first act a million times, and as soon as I get into Rusty Ruin, I'm like, it now. Can I swear on this? That's fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sweet. As soon as I get into Rusty Ruins, it's always like, I'm done. I've had my fix of Sonic 3D Blast for this year, you know?
Yeah, That's kind of how I feel about it too. It's like I always have this itch to play it, and then I actually play it, and I get like 3 or 4 worlds in, I'm like, you know what? I don't really feel like doing this. Yeah, I don't know. Let's put it in high C, but maybe we'll move it at the very end. But yeah, I think for now, high C is pretty fair for what it is.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'd agree.
So for our next one, we've got a classic. We have Sonic Adventure. Now, of course, there are a couple different versions. You've got the Dreamcast one. There is the HD ports. This is a game I honestly didn't really grow up with. I played a lot of Adventure 2 as a kid and teenager, but the first game, not so much. I didn't even finish it until, I think, like college. I think I played it first on the PS3. It's one of the most treasured, Sonic games out there. People have been wanting a remake for, like, decades at this point. I still think it's aged pretty well. Like, if I had to put it somewhere, I would say, like, A tier, but maybe B tier, because like half of the game is just kind of okay. Like the cat fishing is just kind of boring. The Amy levels are very slow. The Knuckles stages are just all right. But the Sonic campaign, Tails campaign is like pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm not in the similar boat. I had this game. I think it was when I was like 10 or 11 or something like that for the Dreamcast collection on Xbox 360, but I loved it from the start. Like it's like one of those games where I could acknowledge that it had a lot of issues and it was really unpolished. But I think as a kid, me just knowing that it's something old, like it came from like a decade prior, I was willing to kind of just accept that it's going to look a certain way. It's going to like not be the most polished thing out there. But I think, yeah, like you said, Sonic levels are some of the best of the series, I'd say. The Tails levels are all fun, if not a little short. Knuckles is solid. Amy is awful. Gam is fun, and Big is whatever, but I know a lot of people always say, like, in relation to like Adventure 1, like, oh, only a third of it's good, but you can't really say, well, Sonic being really good is brought down by Amy stuff being bad, because Sonic has 10 really fun levels and Amy only has like 3 bad ones,
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how like the worst levels, there's just less of them to play.
I don't know, I think overall, like, it's just, especially for the time it came out, I think I would say A.
Yeah, I would probably say A as well. And then for our next one, so obviously gotta do Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. So I mean, for me, this could be an S. It could be a very high A as well. But I absolutely adore this game. It still still, out of all the games that I've played in my life, it still has one of the best first levels in a video game of all time. Jumping out of a helicopter, dropping into City Escape, and the way the music just kicks off the game. It is one of the best starts to a video game, period. And that whole level is absolutely incredible, and it's got the really great ending with the big truck chasing you down. Great stuff. I mean, there's a lot to like about this game.
I feel like I'm known online for kind of hating this game, even though I don't hate it at all. I think I just kind of joke about it a lot, but it's weird. Whenever I first got this game, I borrowed it from a friend for the GameCube, and I loved it. I thought it was like the best Sonic game I ever played, and then I loved it so much I got my own copy of it like a couple months later for my birthday, and I hated it. I don't know what happened, but my second time playing it was just nowhere near as fun. I just started noticing way more of the infuriating elements, mostly in relation to the treasure hunting and the mech shooting, and I feel like it's a case unlike Sonic Adventure 1, where no, I don't like the mech shooting, but I still have to play as many mech levels as I do speed ones, or as many treasure hunting levels as I do speed ones. I complain about the game a lot, and there's so many things I hate about it, but at the same time, I can't really bring myself to hate it. I'm still like, okay, the Sonic levels kind of make up for a lot of everything else. I just think it's the pacing that really brings it down for me. But at the same time, I can still recognize the good about it, the music especially, how much of a graphical step up it is from Sonic Adventure 1. So I'd be more than fine putting it in like high A, but I also I understand that this is like the Sonic game for a lot of people. So if someone wanted to put this on like if you wanted to put this in S tier, I'd be fine with that.
No, it's not a perfect 3D Sonic. I actually think there are better 3D Sonics than even this one, even though this is kind of considered like the best of all time. Okay, you know what? Let's throw it in S for now. But I do not think it's going to end up being like high. It'll probably end up like a low S, because there are definitely better 3D Sonic titles out there.
For sure, yeah.
All right, now this next one, honestly, one of my most nostalgic 3D Sonics, and that is Sonic Heroes. I absolutely love this game. I played this so much as a kid. I always just, it's definitely not the best, of course. It has a lot of issues, especially once you get into the late game with the levels being way too long. But I've always loved the fact that there's a bunch of different teams you can play as, and you got your speed, the flying, the power category. Each character actually feels different to play as. It stinks because only half of the game is fun, and then the second half, the levels get way too long, they get really confusing, and then if you're playing like Team Dark or Team Chaotix, they just get really obnoxious with the length and the mission that you have to do. And if you want to get the last story, you have to beat all 4 campaigns. It's just, playing the game 4 times, basically, which is a crazy ask. So, I would say, high B or low A for this one, but...
See, this is where I gotta come in and show my bias. I fucking love Sonic Heroes. This is my favorite Sonic game, without a doubt. I feel like a lot of people know that already, but...
It's awesome.
I think Sonic Heroes is fantastic. I think it is a Sonic game, one of the only 3D Sonic games which to me captures the spirit of the classic games in a way that doesn't seem too forced or kind of watered down. I feel like later games like Sonic 4 or Lost World or what's the new one, Superstars, I feel like those all had such a watered down version of the classic Sonic aesthetic, whereas Heroes perfectly translates it into 3D and does entirely new level motifs with it, Grand Metropolis or Hang Castle or Frog Forest. Those are all totally unique to Sonic Heroes. I think it's really brought down for newcomers in the team mechanics not being explained to you very well, but also it taking people a while to get adjusted to switching on the fly. And so I see a lot of people play the game and they run and they get to an area where they have to be Knuckles and they kind of just stop and switch to Knuckles and then keep going and are like, oh, what a pace breaker. But I feel like the joys of Sonic Heroes is getting so good at it that you can just do that on the fly and have it be like nothing, second nature. I think it's personally better than Adventure 2, but I also can acknowledge that's an extremely controversial opinion, so it doesn't have to be over Adventure 2, but as long as it's on that S tier somewhere, I'm satisfied.
I'll tell you what, I'll compromise. Let's throw it on S tier, but I'm thinking we put it right below it. And really, that is purely just because the game wants you to play the game 4 times in a row. which I just do like properly beat it and unlock the last story.
I'll do it. I'll play it 8 times in a row, 12 times in a row.
I know you already have. Plenty of times. All right. Well, yeah, I think that's probably fair. I would put it in A tier, but you know what? Let's do low S, and then yeah, we'll see how we're feeling once we get to the end. All right. So next, this is definitely not an A or an S tier. This is Shadow the Hedgehog. Man, what happened to this game? Like, okay, here's the thing. I kind of love the concept of Shadow just like running around with guns and like swearing and riding motorcycles. It's so stupid and like unnecessarily edgy. I love that, but like the gameplay just sucks. Like the fact that you have to play that first level bare minimum 10 times to see every single level and get all the different endings is really stupid. And they like butchered the controls somehow. I don't know. Well, they didn't like just like copy over the controls from the previous Sonic games that were, you know, pretty decent, like in Sonic Heroes. This game, they made Shadow way more slippery, and I don't understand how that even happened.
Yeah, I think this game is pretty dreadful. I actually don't mind, like you said, the idea behind it of Shadow having a gun. I see a lot of people be like, oh, they're trying this hard to appeal to kids, and my only thought is it worked, because I was that kid who would go into school and be like, hey, I got a game where I'm Shadow the Hedgehog and I got a gun.
That's
right. And then
they
would come over to my house and play it, and they'd also be like, holy shit, this is... Obviously, it's cringy. It was cringy for older fans at that time, but I think on a conceptual level, it's a spin-off, you know? If you want to give him a gun, give him a gun. Yeah, it just really falls apart in the gameplay department. I think the level design is super linear and boring, and everything's so flat because it's trying to appeal to these missions. Like, it's expanding upon the Chaotix missions from Heroes in the worst way possible.
And it's very confusing how to go to like different missions as well. Like the game kind of tells you, but you don't really get a good sense or a good grasp of how to like take certain paths while you're playing the levels.
Yeah, and I hate that when you beat the story, you can't just go to a level in the level select and pick a different path and go from there. No, you have to restart the game from the beginning every time. And
yeah.
It's horrible because the first level, the good path is defeat all the good guys, are the opposite, you know, and then the bad path is to defeat all the good guys. And so every time you play that level and you want to go either up or down, you have to spend time scouring over the entire level looking for all the enemies. And I don't know what it is. I've played that opening level a million times, and I've never been able to find all the enemies in one go. There's always just that one who is just... because everything's gray. The enemies are gray and black, and the world you're running around is gray and black. And so everything just kind of gets muddied when you're running by it with the slippery controls.
Yeah, even for a Sonic game, it is very just ugly to look at. Like, obviously, it's supposed to kind of be dark and moody, but, like, I don't know, a spruce of color in, like, the background would have been nice.
For every good idea it has, it's just completely brought down by the fact that it's just not fun to play.
This is a D tier for me. This is just,
yeah.
It's just not good. Yeah, this is going right in the D tier. Next, another potential D tier, we have Sonic 06. Probably one of the most talked about Sonic games on the internet. I mean, everyone knows why the game is not great. I don't know if I would say it's the worst Sonic game, because it definitely is fun to play in an ironic sense, to where like the levels and the gameplay is so bad that it does kind of make it fun. But it doesn't make it fun enough to make it a great Sonic game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I first played this game, I think I saw like one of the cutscenes on YouTube as a kid when I first like discovered YouTube, and I was like, holy, that looks like the best Sonic game ever. And so I got it for my birthday, and I played it all the time without knowing about like its reputation at all. It wasn't until years later where I went online and find like, I think it was like some Call Me Johnny's review, and was like, wait, people don't like Sonic 06? But so I think I always kind of have that biased lens, and I think a lot of people nowadays do, people who did grow up on it, not realizing how people felt about it online. But I feel like that's kind of made it somewhat of an unpopular opinion nowadays to say that you don't like Sonic 06. But I think that's just because people are so fed up of it being brought up all the time, or people acting like it's the worst thing in the world, because it's really not. And if I'm being honest, I would play Sonic 06 any day over Shadow the Hedgehog.
I would much rather play that too, 100%.
Yeah. I think it's all brought down by Silver. Like, Sonic is janky and buggy, but it's fun, and the level design is solid once you kind of know what glitches to avoid. which is easier said than done, I'm aware of. And Shadow is just Sonic, but a bit slower and a bit more of a focus on vehicle segments.
Vehicles, yeah.
Yeah, but Silver is like inexcusable in my opinion. Like I think Silver just completely brings that whole game down. Like it's never a fun time playing as Silver.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say like just for the vast amount of bugs that the game has, I could not put it higher than a C tier. I think it would be kind of crazy to put it higher. Like again, it's not the worst Sonic game ever, but at the same time, like there's a reason that like Project 06 exists, and that is to fix the vast amount of bugs that the game already has. Yeah, I think let's do like a low
put it above
C tier.
3D Blast.
We'll put it above 3D Blast.
It's a worse game objectively, but I have more fun with 06 than I do 3D Blast.
You know what? It's more ambitious too. Like it would be weird to put this lower. I don't know. I think I still have more fun with 3D Blast, but that is also because I am super nostalgic for that game.
Hey, keep it above 06. I understand completely. I would not fight you on that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? Maybe we'll move it later. Let's put it right below 3D Blast, and maybe we'll move it at the end. We'll see. Next, this is probably another D tier. This is Sonic and the Secret Rings. You know, I remember getting this game through GameFly. Have you ever heard of GameFly?
No.
So it was basically what Blockbuster, or no, it's kind of what Netflix used to be, where you could rent, like when Netflix used to be able to like rent actual DVDs, you would get them and ship them back and forth. GameFly was that, but it was for video games. And this is one of the first games that I got through the GameFly subscription service. And I was super excited because I was a really big Sonic fan at the time. And I was even reading like previews about it in Nintendo Power. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. Then I played it, and I'm just like, oh, this actually sucks really, really bad because you are forced to use motion controls. It's an auto runner, and look, I like the cutscenes in the game. I think the story, the whole like storybook story is like, it's interesting. It is different. I like that they tried something a little bit unique compared to what you normally see from a Sonic title, but the controls absolutely ruin the game. And then what like makes it even more painful is that the mini games in Secret Rings allow you to use a GameCube controller, but you can't do that with the main game. Yeah, you can actually use a GameCube controller with the mini games, but not the main game, which drives me crazy. I don't even know if it would. I don't know if the main game could be fixed with just using a joystick and a jump button. I guess probably to an extent, but I really don't like this game at all.
That's completely. I agree with you completely in that I see a lot of fan projects similar to Project 06 where they're like, hey, I'll remake Secret Rings, but I'll make it so you can use a controller. And I'm like, at that point, I'm just going in a straight line and jumping every now and then. It's no different to like Forces or something like that at that point, or Sonic Dash on iPhones. Yeah, I had a similar experience where I got this game like used in a game store and I was so excited to play it. On the way home, I'm like flicking through the manual and it's like, oh, control Sonic using the Wiimote. And I was like, oh god, like I didn't believe it. I was like, that's gotta be like a joke, or that can't be the only way you play it. Like no way that'd be that stupid
just
to
like
make
an option.
a game like that. Yeah. And so I got used to it, and I did end up beating this game quite a few times as a kid and enjoying it, but I think that's just because I was willing to put up with anything with Sonic's face on it, and I was willing to kind of, as a kid, when you have like all the time in the world, you kind of are able to get used to how something controls, no matter how bad it is. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't think there's much defending this game. It's got a fun story, the cutscenes are great, but it's like Shadow the Hedgehog. Good idea, completely brought down by the
gameplay. Yeah. Now the question is, do we put this above or below Shadow the Hedgehog? I would almost argue putting it above just because the game is shorter and you don't have to replay levels a billion times. Well, I mean, you kind of do with the way the somewhat mission structured, I guess.
Yeah, they don't fucking tell you what missions progress the story.
Yeah, you just kind of do them. Yeah.
You guess, yeah.
You know what? Now that I'm reminded of that, let's put it at the bottom. Yeah, this will likely be the worst one, but well, maybe we'll see. There are still a few bad ones in here, and one of those, this one's better, but not a lot better, and that is Sonic and the Black Knight. So I played this very recently. Once I played Secret Rings as a kid, I didn't touch Sonic until like Generations came out. It was like 3 or 4 years before I played a Sonic game again. So I played this for a video a few years ago, and it's better just because you can use a joystick to actually play, and like waggling the remote to use your sword is fine. But the level design is pretty boring, so like there's just not much to say about it. I also found the final boss in this game to be super infuriating. Like you had to time your waggles like perfectly, otherwise you just could not win. But you know, again, I really liked the story in this game. Honestly, probably one of the best Sonic stories out of the entire franchise. But
I agree.
It's still, the gameplay is just like, it's just fine. So maybe C tier.
See, I'm incredibly nostalgic for this game. I got it for like my 10th birthday, and I loved it. This game just felt endless to me as a kid, even though nowadays you can beat it in like an hour and a half. I don't know, there was something about its style. I loved the music. I loved the watercolor aesthetic of the cutscenes. I thought Sonic's characterization was really cool. It's that thing from this era of Sonic where it's like everything's really cool except the gameplay. Where it's definitely a lot better than Secret Rings. I think the sword play had a lot of potential to be fun, but it's brought down by the fact that every time you use the sword, Sonic just slows down and kind of halts in front of him. And there's this really fun move in the game where, because when you homing attack, Sonic just bounces off the enemy and does no damage, but if you swing the Wii Remote while you're homing attacking, you turn into like a buzzsaw and you just go through like a horde of enemies in one go. And it's really fun to pull off. But once you realize you can do that, you're kind of like, why is there no other move in the game that keeps my speed going when I'm attacking? Because why wouldn't I just want to do this move all the fucking time? Yeah, it's just brought down by the gameplay, and I think C tier is more than fair for this game.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I would say it's probably, well, it's definitely, I would say better than Sonic 06. It probably is slightly better than 3D Blast, to be honest.
I'd be cool with that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just throw it right here. For this next one, I have both versions of this game. We'll just talk about the original to start, and that is Sonic Generations. This is the game that got me back into Sonic, kind of for a lot of people, right? I think a lot of people got really burned on Sonic 06, didn't touch the franchise for years until Sonic Generations came out. They brought things back to basics. You've got just Sonic, you got 2D levels, 3D levels. It brings back a bunch of the older stages from the classic Sonic games. It's still a really, really great time, and you know, obviously we'll talk about the remake later on, but like for me, this is a pretty easy S tier, or at least high A, just because the remake that came out last year improves it so much.
Yeah, I would agree. This is like, Generations is the complete opposite to like those Dark Age Sonic games where it's like everything around the game, like the story, the cutscenes, the voice acting, I think is all really bad, but the game is just so fucking good that it like makes up for everything else. It's the opposite of like Shadow the Hedgehog or 06, where it's just such a solid fucking game. Every level is like a masterpiece. They're all fun to play. They're all the perfect length. I don't think there's a bad one in the bunch. I know people don't really like Planet Wisball that much.
I don't mind
I know people
it. Like, it's not the greatest stage of all time, but I think it's fine.
I don't know. Yeah, I can never hate this game. I know there's been like somewhat of a switch up on it lately because of people, what's the word, how stiff Sonic is to control, but I think it works completely in favor of the level design they have here. They make complete use out of our advantage of the way he controls and the levels, and I think the classic Sonic is great too. Like, there's not a bad thing I could say about this game that isn't like, the final boss could have been better, you know?
Yeah, even like all of those little side missions are, you know, pretty fun to tackle.
They're all fun, yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought put into some of them, surprisingly. That adds like another like 3 hours onto the game, I'd say. Like, it's great. Like, I love Sonic Generations.
Oh, I definitely agree. So, yeah, I would say, obviously,
I'd say top rated, honestly.
Yeah, I would maybe, I don't know if I'd say it's better than Sonic Heroes. I would say it's better. I mean, personally, I would say it's better than Sonic Heroes. Maybe even better than Sonic Adventure 2, to be honest. I really like this game a lot.
I definitely like Heroes more, but I can acknowledge that Generations is the better game, and I would say it's better than Adventure 2 as well.
Just because, like, Adventure 2, it has more faults than Generations does. So even though it might not be as beloved, especially just because, like, it is remaking a lot of the older levels, I still think it's the better game regardless. So yeah, let's go ahead and
too good to matter. Yeah,
and let's see what's next. Okay, so this one is so weird because I feel like opinions change all the time on this game, and that is the PS3/Xbox version of Sonic Unleashed. I do want to talk about the Wii version after this, but yeah, I mean, I finally played this game for the first time like 2 or 3 years ago, and I like it. You know, I don't even mind the nighttime stages. I think they can be fun. The only issue is that there's just too many of them and they go on for too long. I really just wish the Werehog stages were a little bit shorter. Maybe it played different music whenever you're entering like the battle sequence. That gets old. And that last level is way too long. It's like 40 minutes long. But the daytime stages are so goddamn good in this game that it makes it worth playing, especially if you play the 60 FPS version that was re-released on the Series S/Series X.
Sonic Unleashed is super weird, yeah, where I think back on it super fondly. Like, if someone were to ask me about it, like, off the cuff, I'd be like, oh, brilliant game. But when I'm playing it, sometimes I just get really like, oh, it's this part, you know? Like, I can never... Anytime I start the game, I always forget about the fucking, like, 10-minute long tornado stage at first where you're just pressing buttons, and I think it's, like, a great game with great levels. I like the Werehog. I think the Werehog is really fun once you unlock more of the combos, even if I wish the game did more to encourage you to use any of those combos, because I feel like just mashing just does the job half the time. But I think it's really just kind of brought down by the pacing, where it's like, you know what you have to do next, like I'm going to the next level, but it's like, oh, this isn't unlocked yet because you have to go to Professor Pickle's lab to like do a bit of dialogue with him, and then it opens up. Or there's always that point, everyone always gets there when you go to Adabat, and it has like 30 moon medals or sun medals you need to get before you can play it.
Yeah, that was always the worst part, was getting those stupid medals, because you have to get so many of them. And like, I get it, you know, they're trying to add padding to the game, especially in this time period when people really wanted Sonic games to be longer, and this was their solution to it. Make the nighttime stages a little bit longer in length, because, you know, with the daytime stages, you can only make them so long, because it's a lot of development to just make one Sonic stage. I get why they did it, but it's just not very fun.
Yeah, I think people would have a lot, or would be way more favorable towards the Werehog if it wasn't for the moon medal stuff, because if you don't like the Werehog stages, when you reach one of them, your only thought is kind of, let me just get this over with so I can play the next daytime one. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, now I need to go and get enough moon medals so I can play the Werehog stage I don't want to play, just so I can do the Sonic one. It's like there's all these steps just to get to the stuff you want to play. But I personally like the Werehog stages. They're fine. I like Eggman Land, honestly, as a final stage, even though it is extremely long. I think Unleashed is good. Every time I play it, I think I like it a little bit less, just because I notice more of those pacing issues. But I still think at the end of the day, it's still the best visually looking Sonic game out there. Like, it looks gorgeous.
Still has the best opening cutscene out of any Sonic game.
Yeah.
So for me, this is going somewhere in B tier.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's it'll probably end up being like a high B tier just because the daytime stages are so fantastic. But again, those moon medals really do knock it down a peg quite a bit. You know, I also wanted to quickly touch on the Wii version of Sonic Unleashed. Now, have you played this specific version of the game?
This was actually the version I grew up with.
Okay, so that's good, because I wanted to ask, because like I imagine a lot of people probably have not played this version.
It's okay, you know, it's solid. I always forget. It's so weird to me that like Sonic Heroes and or not Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes, because this also came out in the PS2, that it and Sonic Unleashed have both come out on the same console, even though they both look so drastically different, and they like take place in such different years of the franchise. But the Sonic levels are the daytime levels are very fun. They're a lot more simple compared to the HD ones, but I think
they're still fun.
I don't know, they have a good control scheme. I think it's a little more linear, but I honestly don't mind in this case, just because it's very reaction-based. And the Werehog is definitely less fun. Yeah, there's certain elements that are better. Like, I think I like how the Werehog stages are more focused on platforming compared to the combat-oriented approach to the HD version, but it's kind of a trade-off. For every good thing that's better in the Wii version, there's an equally, like, worse thing compared to the HD version, you know? I would honestly say, like, in terms of overall quality, they're pretty similar in my book. I couldn't really tell. I couldn't really judge someone if they preferred one over the other, you know?
You know, for now, let's just put it over just because of the pacing. That was really the only reason that, at least I would consider it to be slightly better. But yeah, I could definitely see why someone would still prefer, like, the original. All right, so now we're moving on to Sonic Colors. So we actually have both versions here. We have the original version and the Ultimate. I guess I could have combined them together. They are pretty similar.
I thought you were going to say both versions were the North American one and the European one with the added U on the logo.
Oh, yeah, this is all I could find on Google Images. Like, the only clean box art photo, but,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I, you know, like most people, I love this game. I think it's really, really great. The new Wisp mechanic from this game is really fun. I like how the levels are more bite-sized. It is kind of interesting, because, like, the game, it almost makes it out to be like, oh, hey, there's 6 levels per world. Wow, that's so much. But in reality, really, it's just, like, 1 or 2 levels, considering the length of the levels in this game. But I really like all of the themes, like and the music is really, really great. This is just an overall really fun Sonic game.
I'd agree. Yeah, this is another one of the Sonic games where it's kind of like the opposite, where I think about it like off the cuff. If someone were to ask me, I'd be like, that's fine. You know, but when I'm playing it, I have like a lot of fun. And I'm like, oh, I forgot how much I enjoyed this game. I think when the Ultimate version released back a couple of years ago, I put like dozens and dozens of hours into it. Like, I beat it over and over again. Yeah, especially coming after like 06 and Secret Rings and stuff. I think this is like one of the most solid, polished 3D Sonic games out there. That I think all the Wisps are a lot of fun in this game. I think them being so overused later on kind of give folks caused folks to go back to this one and have a...
It's a little irritating that they've been used so much for the other games. Like, they really should have just stayed in Colors. And also, I want to give a shout out to Sonic Colors on the DS. If you played that one,
yeah, it's great.
Okay, yeah, because that's actually one of my favorites, like 2D Sonic games ever. I think
I was
Sonic Colors,
it's my favorite out of the Rush trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's by far the best one. And I think for this game in the DS version, the Wisps are great, but yeah, it is kind of annoying that they were used for such a long time. Like, I think at this point we finally gotten rid of them. But yeah, for this game, they work really well. And it's definitely a shorter Sonic game, but I personally think it's kind of better that the game is shorter. Like, just length does not equal... Like, a longer game does not make it better. You know, it's all about the actual playtime. Is this 3 to 5 hours actually enjoyable compared to something that's padded out to 8 to 10 hours? I would say Sonic Color, this is either a low S or a really high A.
None of it's bad. It's still all really fun. So yeah, if you want low S, I'm cool with that.
I think I'm gonna throw it in low S. It'll still be it'll be below Sonic Heroes, but yeah, I think low S is probably pretty good. But I could definitely see why some would be like, yeah, definitely like a high A. And now we have what might be the worst Sonic game, potentially, out of all the 3D ones, and that is Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. This is, again, a very, very over-talked about Sonic game on the internet. Personally, I think it is by far the worst one, not just because it is bad, but because it is boring. The best way that I've always described Sonic Boom is that it feels like a underdeveloped PS2 platformer. Like, it's just like a random PS2 platformer where it's just like, oh, you just go from point A to point B, you hit the green button every 10 minutes, and it's very slow, it's very boring. That's just what it reminds me of, just like a really crappy PS2 game, but it's on the Wii U.
Yeah, I was very apologetic to this game when it came out. I think I just really wanted it to be good. I was super excited for it. And when it came out and it got like the atrocious reviews, I was like, oh my god, this can't be possible. I can't imagine a world in which Sonic Boom is bad. And I played it and I was like, it's fine, it's average, but it's not as bad as people say. But it definitely is one of those things later where I'm able to look back on it and go, yeah, no, just because it wasn't the worst thing in the world doesn't mean it's like shit. Or I think the worst thing that kind of brings the whole game down is this, just that it has nothing in common with Sonic whatsoever. You know, they throw in a couple speed sections every 30 minutes just to remind you that you're playing a Sonic game.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't really feel like a Sonic game at all.
Yeah, for sure. And it sucks because I know in the original version of it that the team had pitched with their promotional trailer or their concept trailer that they made for Sega, showing like beta stuff, like super early in development stuff, and it seems like they were going for something like super ambitious, albeit very different from what Sonic kind of should be. I think it just completely, whatever they wanted to do completely got watered down by Sega's mismanagement, maybe them being a bit too ambitious. I feel like kind of scope creep kind of crept up on them a bit with how much stuff they wanted to put in the game, and you're just kind of left with, like you said, a very mediocre PS2 tier platformer.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate, because, there's a lot of bad Sonic games out there, but there's not a lot of boring Sonic games, and that's kind of what this one is. That is why I would consider it to be one of the worst, especially one of the worst 3D Sonic ones. And I guess kind of as like a side note too, I'm not a super big fan of the way that they redesigned the characters. Like, I don't necessarily hate the redesigns, I just don't like the personalities, especially with like Knuckles. They just made Knuckles super stupid for like no reason, and like he's never been the smartest character of all time. But it's kind of like with modern SpongeBob, where they make Patrick extra dumb just to like further exaggerate his personality. They kind of did that same thing with Knuckles here, which I've never been a big fan of. So
yeah, I agree. I think the worst game in the 3D series is more than fair.
Is it? Here's the thing. Sonic and the Secret Rings might still be worse because that game is barely playable. This game is playable. It does, like, you can actually move around and it's fine, but it's just so freaking boring, so.
Secret Rings is the technically worst game, but it has more redeeming qualities compared to
It does have, it has good music. And Sonic Boom has really boring music. That's a sin, because it's a Sonic game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're putting it at the bottom. I think it belongs here. Okay, so next we have, this one is kind of like in the same tier as like Unleashed, I think, and that is Sonic Lost World. This is another one that I've played fairly recently. There are parts of the game that are really fun. I like that they tried something different in terms of like how Sonic controls and the way the game looks. But I think like the farther you get into it, the worse it gets. So for me, this is like a B or a C tier.
Yeah, I think C's pretty fair. This was similar to Boom when it came out, where I was like, no, it's great. It's a Sonic game. It's got to be good. It sucks because every time I replay the game, like, there's fun to be had. I do enjoy a lot of moments of it, and I think its worst quality is that it peaks in the first stage.
Yes.
The first stage really does show what the idea behind this was, and I think Sega just got carried away in adding all these fucking dumb gimmicks. Like, half the levels are like completely different control schemes that are like sometimes fun, sometimes horrible, and it kind of just brings the whole thing down because the initial idea, just Sonic in these kind of cylindrical worlds doing parkour, is barely utilized at all.
Yeah, I would probably say C tier. Like,
I'd agree.
Well, I'd say probably better than Sonic 06, probably better than, I don't know if I'd say, maybe it's better than 3D Blast, I'm not sure.
I think it's better than 3D Blast, personally.
The beginning of the game, as well as the DLC stages, are more fun than 3D Blast, so, let's go ahead and throw it right here for now. Maybe we'll move this one at the end, too, because there's just, like, a lot of different aspects about it that we could still go over. Okay, so this next one, we'll just talk about this one really briefly, and that is the 3DS version of Sonic Lost World. Now, have you played this one?
Sadly, yes. I did a video S-ranking every Sonic game last year.
I didn't realize. So I have seen that video. I honestly forgot that this game also has that.
Other than Boom, maybe, this is the worst Sonic game ever. It's atrocious.
Yeah, this game is, really the only thing that I can commend it for is that it is a 3D Sonic game running on a handheld. That is pretty impressive. And I do think the first world, the first few stages are fun, similar to the Wii U version of the game. But my god, it somehow manages to get worse and worse and worse the farther in you get. Like, in particular, the stage that I always remember is the snowball one, where you have to make the snowballs, and you have to, like, put them in those, like, little dispensers. And it's so annoying, because, like, as soon as you make it big, some sort of enemy or that other snowball that just like runs around the level,
there's like a snowball chasing you the whole level. Yeah,
God, I freaking hate
it's
that
horrible.
level. I hate that level so much.
It's horrible. It controls like shit too.
I don't know if I would say it's as bad as Sonic Boom, but like it's on the same level. It's somewhere between. Maybe here. Okay, and here we have one of the most average Sonic games of all time. This is, Sonic Forces. Man, dude, I still remember, in this time period, waiting so long for the next 3D Sonic to come out. I think it was teased as like Project 2017, and they announced the trailer, and everyone was super excited about it.
Yeah.
Hearing the theme song, I still love I think it's called Fist Bump. And the game came out, and you play it for 3 hours, then it's over. And it's like, okay, that was definitely a 3D Sonic game.
Yeah, this is what burned me. This is what changed the trajectory of my life. I got my start on YouTube making videos discussing this game, like up to release, like with every new bit of gameplay or trailer that would come out, and I was just so like baffled. And obviously now we know that this was a result of Sega being in such like financial restraints at the time after the failure of Lost World and Boom. But I don't know. I think this is like what we were talking about. This is the ultimate case of a game's just being so boring that it makes it like awful. It's not even worth talking about. There's not one thing it does better than any other 3D Sonic game, and because of that, I forget it exists half the time.
Like, this is gonna sound so weird, but I kind of wish they put more development into the OC character. Because the idea of them actually kind of going into, like, embracing the fact that people have, like, Sonic OCs and putting it into an official Sonic game, I think that's great. They just didn't do enough with it. There's not enough customization. The character doesn't feel different enough to play as compared to just, like, 3D Sonic. And then, like, classic Sonic, they like, made his controls even more stiff than in Generations. And it's just not very fun to play as. This is, I mean, at the highest low C, but I can see this being a D tier as well.
I would put it in D, but I'd be fine with C because it's not broken. It's not like inherently bad. I agree with you completely. I think if anything, this game should have only been about the OC. But I imagine Sega wouldn't have been so confident to do that at the time.
Yeah, basically, and then like the level themes too are the most uninspired. There's like 6 versions of Green Hill Zone, like 3 different stages for Chemical Plant. There's just almost no variety. I don't know. Maybe this is. I would say this might actually be worse than Sonic 06.
I would say so.
Which is pretty crazy to say, but yeah, I think it's probably worse than that.
06 can be saved through people like going and recreating the game and kind of fixing the more buggy elements, where every time I see someone put out like, here's a mod for Sonic Forces where I fix classic Sonic's controls or fix modern Sonic's controls to make them more like fun to play with, it's like, so the level design's still
So we'll put it in the lowest C possible. Okay, so we don't have too many more games left. We do have a couple of remakes. So I know we've already talked about Sonic Colors. And there's not too much to say about Sonic Colors Ultimate. I will say something I did find very bizarre is that so many people were shitting on this game when it first came out because like the bloom was too high, the new content wasn't all that great. It's just Metal Sonic. You just race Metal Sonic and it looks sloppily put together. The Sonic customization stuff also wasn't very deep. But all in all, it is still a better version of Sonic Colors, if you ask me. So I would say it's on the same caliber, if not a little bit better.
Yeah, for every like thing it adds, where it's like, that's neat. I do think the visuals kind of bring it down. I know it doesn't destroy it. It's not like, it's one of those cases where if you didn't have the original to compare it to, I don't think that many people would have noticed how it looks, aside from a couple areas where it's a bit egregious. I also think so many people were kind of picking on this game around the time of release was because of those kind of big bugs it had that were like seizure-inducing.
In particular, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was just kind of a faulty launch that gave people such a negative impression on it. But I personally think it's fine. I have fun playing it. It's fine.
I would say it's slightly better, or just basically like on the same. Pretty much just like
it's the same
thing.
To me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw it above, but like that's really just because it's a little bit more accessible to play now. So, okay, so I will admit for this one, I have not played the DLC yet, but I have played the main game. That is Sonic Frontiers. I think this game is absolutely incredible. It fixes any issues that previous 3D Sonic has, just by the fact that you could completely customize his controls. And I just have a lot of fun running through the hub world, just like randomly like completing objectives and stuff. And sure, the hub world might be a little bit empty, I suppose. I just think there's so much to do, and just running around is super fluid and really, really fun. And the story is great. I freaking love this game. I think it is super, super fun.
Yeah, I can definitely see why someone loves this game. I'm a bit more mixed on it. It's a Sonic game where I could think of a million things I don't like about it, but when I'm actually playing it, I'm like, I'm having fun. You know, I remember when it came out, there were like a good couple of months where I would just kind of turn it on and kind of play it in the background for hours, you know, while doing something else or listening to something. And I personally actually really don't like that you can customize Sonic's controls, just because I think, I don't know, there's something about it where I just, on a fundamental level, I think Sonic Team should make a Sonic that is just universally fun to play as from the start without me having to tweak a bunch of sliders. You know, it's kind of like, don't cater Sonic towards how I want to play him, just make a Sonic that is fun to control. And I think having the sliders makes things a bit more broad in how they can do level design, where it's like, if Sonic Generations had sliders to change Sonic's like starting speed or how quickly he stops or his jump deceleration, I think that level design could not have been nearly as tight as it was, you know, because anyone could have any combination of sliders for how Sonic controls, so it kind of discourages Sega from making level design that is more challenging, in my opinion. But for as much as I'm right now, like, I can think of a million things I hate about the game, but when I am playing it, I am having fun, you know?
What I find super interesting about the fact that, like, you can control so much of Sonic's movement, I think the reason they did that is because there is such a massive split between the Sonic fan base. Some people prefer Sonic to be more slippery, some people don't. Some people prefer him to be fast, some people want him to be a little bit slower. And I think what Sega's trying to do, or try to attempt to accomplish, is like, okay, you know what? All of you guys have such vastly different opinions on how Sonic should be controlled. Screw it, you pick how he should work. And
For sure,
I think it's weird because Sonic is one of the only franchises where the fan base is just not able to decide on how he should control. So I can appreciate that they at least try to give everyone an option, but yes, I do think at the same time it does kind of hurt the game to an extent, just because it does make a lot of the level design like really easy. It is still fun. Also, the bosses, we haven't even talked about the bosses. The music, incredible. They went all in on like heavy metal for the bosses, and I just for that reason, it gets me super hyped when I'm playing. So I really, really love the bosses in this game.
Yeah, they're some of the best parts of the game. I think my overall thoughts on Frontiers in the future will just completely depend on how they improve upon it for whatever Frontiers 2 is, you know?
Yeah, for me, this is one of the best Sonic games, but I would be willing to push it down. Try to like, because like, where would you put this if this was just your tier list? Where is it going?
Somewhere in the B tier. I would be fine putting it like in the A tier, maybe under Sonic Adventure, but I know you'd probably disagree with it.
We will come to an agreement. Let's definitely stick with A tier.
Sure.
And then for our last game, we have Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, and you know it's Sonic Generations again, and then it includes Shadow Generations. And I don't know about you, this is one of the best Sonic games of all time to me. I think, you know, we were just talking about Sonic Frontiers. It has its open zone hub world, which I really, really like how they developed it here. They give Shadow like so many like different abilities in the game, and I love that they still stick with the Sonic Generations motif where it's recreating older levels. So getting like a Sonic Forces level, I think is just very funny to me. Getting like a brand new like Sonic Frontiers level, and then I think there's like a Sonic Adventure 2 level or something. I haven't touched it since the game came out, so I don't remember all the levels in Shadow Generations, but yeah, I think this is incredible.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think I like Heroes more just because of nostalgia reasons, and because there are certain things I just think I know in that game will never be replicated again, so I just appreciate it for what it is. But I think objectively speaking, this is the best 3D Sonic game, if not Sonic game, period. Every level is a ton of fun. I think the last two Radical Highway stages are some of the best designed levels in 3D Sonic history. If Frontiers 2 had more stuff like that, I'd be ecstatic. The only thing I could possibly say against it, and it's not even really against it, is just that when Sonic Generations came out, the response was like, this is fantastic, I just wish there was more of it, and now we're finally getting more, and you kind of finish it and you're like, oh god, that was great, I wish there was more of it again, you know?
This might, you know what? This might actually be the number one 3D Sonic, now that I'm kind of thinking about it. I don't know if it's my favorite Sonic game. I don't know if anything will ever top Sonic Mania for me. I absolutely adore Sonic Mania, but in terms of 3D Sonic, like, yeah, this is definitely up there. It is. I'm thinking back to it, and if there's anything that I don't like about it, and honestly, there's not much that I can really think
like you
of.
said, it's like, it's not my favorite 3D Sonic game. Like, I still think Heroes is my favorite, but it is, I think, the best one of them all.
So is there anything else you want to change on this tier list?
I like it all. I think I'd agree with pretty much all of it.
Yeah, I think so too. So with that said, let us know down below why this tier list is wrong right now.